Hi everybody, it's Maureen from Garden of Eden here. How are you? I thought I would take this opportunity to do a little video because I think that since COVID happened in March, I haven't been able to see you in person, and I had a whole bunch of awesome shows lined up for the summer and the winter and before Christmas. Anyhow, whatever, that's life. Here we are. But aside from all that, I wanted to do a little bit of education and just go through what you might have seen from me when you met me at a vendor show. I really have found over the last several years of doing this that women love to touch the pads and see the pads and feel them and understand in their brains how they would work, how they're not so scary, and what to do about them. So I'm going to go through my sort of spiel that I would have given had we met behind a table, and there's a cat who wants to come and say hello. I might have to stop later on, who knows. Anyhow, so here we go. So the first thing I would have said was, come on in and touch the pads. Come on in and touch the pads. You got to see them. You got to touch them. You're not going to break them. It's all okay here. And so I want people say, the first thing they say to me, oh, I've heard about them. I've heard about them. Tell me about them, because I don't know much about them. I don't know where to get them. I might have seen them online from whoever. I just want to know. And so this is the first step always of sort of getting it in your head what they look like. There's different styles and different ways that different people make them, and they're all good. I like my style, and so that's what I make. So you have to like my style too. Anyhow, so the first thing I want to know, or I want to tell people, is that the pads are waterproof, because everybody thinks that they're not waterproof. They're afraid, actually, probably, that they're not waterproof. Not that they don't think that they're not waterproof. They're afraid that they might not be. And we have all had those accidents in life, whether you were in grade 8 or shopping with your children. We've all had an accident. It's life. You just pick up your whatever and pry it off the ground and move on. So yes, they are waterproof. And I'm going to show you what my pads are made of. So the first time I ever did this, I thought, you know what, people need to see what's inside of these things. So I did this little cutaway pad to show you what's in it. So I love flannel, and I love flannel for a couple of reasons. One, it is very soft, and it's not a slippery kind of material, so it tends to give a little grip in your underwear compared to maybe just a plain cotton. The other part about flannel is it actually has a little pile to it. There's a little, you can see, there's a little level to it. And so that just helps absorb. And also it doesn't feel wet necessarily when you're wearing them. When they're full, hello, it all feels wet. But anyhow, this is what it is. So I always put flannel on the top. That's going to be against your skin. And I mostly put flannel on the back. Sometimes I do put woven cotton, just because I really like the pattern, and I thought it would look nice. So that's the other thing. So at the back, there is your waterproofing layer. So this is called PUL, polyurethane laminate, and it's what diaper covers are made out of for the cloth diaper industry. So it's a polyester on one side, and you can sort of see a bit of a sheen there. That's the waterproofing bit. So that's what it is. Breathable. It is not wearing a rubber pant from your 1970s childhood over your cloth diaper. This is not what it is. It's not crinkly. It's not crunchy. It's not plastic. It is plastic, but it's not plasticky feeling. And it doesn't make any sounds like, rubber pants made a sound. If any of you people cloth diapered your kids and you had rubber pants, they made a sound. Anyhow, this does not. It's wonderful. I love it. It's terrific. So in my small pads, which would be my panty liner, I have one layer of hemp bamboo fleece. Sometimes it's cotton bamboo, but mostly it's hemp bamboo. It's very thin, but super absorbent. And the reason I use this is because it's thin, first of all, and for my panty liners, women use them not only for their light days of their period, but if you have incontinence. and if you have light incontinence. So if you have ever wet a piece of fleece, a fleecy sweater, and tried to squeeze out the water, you really can't. So it really holds urine quite nicely. So that's why it's a good dual purpose for that. So that's one layer of that. Or if it's in my maxi pad or my long maxi pad, this is a fabulous material I use. It's 100% cotton. That's all it is. I'll just zoom it in there. Oh, yeah. So all those little pockets, it's called Absorb. It's made in Canada. Just so exciting. All these little pockets, I wash and dry these before it goes into your pad because I want the material to be good right away. I mean, you can use it right away, right off the bolt, but it's much nicer when you use it after it's been washed, because it's also pre-shrunk, because 100% cotton shrinks. We all know this. So anyhow, as you use it and wash and dry it, these little pockets actually get deeper, so that eventually you will feel under your flannel. So if this was up against you, under your flannel here, eventually on your pads, you're gonna feel like these bumps, and you're like, what the heck is that? It's actually this absorbed material, and the pockets are at their deepest, and it's fantastic. What's great about this and why I use this is it's 100% cotton. It is not, there is a similar product in the United States called Zorb. It's polyester. It's recycled pop bottles, people. No, stop using it. Stop using it. Anyhow, here it is. This is cotton. It's so fantastic. I love it. It's great. So anyhow, that's what I use, and it absorbs 10 times its weight in moisture. In my heavy pads, which would be your postpartum pads or your heavy overnight pads, I use 2 layers of it. And I am telling you, this stuff is the cat's pajamas. And I would never use more than 2 layers. Like, it's actually really awesome at holding. You'd be surprised how much this stuff holds. So anyhow, that's what's inside my pads. Plain, simple, easy, natural, except for the PUL, I will give you that, but it's got to be waterproof, and cotton as a natural material is not waterproof. People use wool, I think, and I'm like, I don't know about it, because sometimes, like if you had a real thick period, I think wool would be fine, but not everybody does. And you know, sometimes your menstrual blood is runny, you know, it's watery, and so I don't think it would hold it. So anyhow, that's why I use the PUL. I haven't had any problems with it. Oh, the other part about it is I put the PUL all the way around the pad, so that, for instance, this is the core of the pad. Even if you're, and this has happened to me 100 million times, like ever since I've been wearing them, so the core will be right here. This is waterproofed, and so even as you bleed, and if you sort of fill the pad and it starts by osmosis running over this way, it'll wet this flannel, but it will not come through on the wing. So that's what's like, so this really gives a lot of really excellent protection. Like, I've had a lot of times where I've sort of been out shopping and I'm like, oh, I should have gone home and changed my pad, but didn't have time, or I forgot my pad, whatever. And so, you know, this area right here has just, like, all of the blood has sort of gone there, and I'm like, ooh, and it just saved me, you know, from having a real bad accident. So it's not the pad's fault, it was my fault. I should have changed it faster. But anyhow, this whole little section right here has just saved my bacon on more than one occasion. So that's what's in my pads. Okay, so I had to take a little drink of coffee. It's early in the morning here. Well, not early. I dropped the kids off at school. Now we're ready to go. So, sizing. That's the next thing people ask me, is how big, or what do I need? So basically, whatever you're currently using for your plastic disposal pads is what you would use for reusable pads. So for instance, I'm 1,200 years old, my period is coming to an end, so my periods are very short. And you know, thankfully, I didn't have excessively bad periods. So really, you know, I was kind of like the 5 days, which, like, textbook 5 days, which is great. And I know there are some of you out there that just look like, oh my God, I've been bleeding for 10 days. Sister, I feel your pain. Like, what the hell? Anyhow, you know what's great about these pads is that, so if you do bleed for 10 days and you have a 5-day supply, you can just wash them and you don't have to spend any more money, and there's no running out going, oh my God, I've run out of my heavy pads. Sister, wash them. You'll be good. They'll be ready to go in the morning. Yeah. So I have all sorts of different sizing. So I have everything from a thong panty liner. Yes. Crazy women who wear thongs. Oh, those days are so long gone for me. Anyhow, thong panty liner all the way to a heavy postpartum. Like, that would be the difference. It's quite a difference. So I'll tell you about them. So anyhow, I'll use my panty liner because that's a better one. So here's my panty liner. All of them have a little snap, and I think you can see that. Maybe that's not a good example. Hang on. This is a better one. Here we are. So they all have a plastic snap closure. Why do I use plastic? I know we're trying to reduce our use of plastic. There are a couple of reasons that sometimes plastic is actually the better choice. The first time I ever made cloth pads, I used a steel snap that you had to like tap in with a little hammer. I discovered probably after about 6 months of use that it was rusting. And then I ripped it out and I replaced it with a plastic one. You can't do that at home necessarily. I can do it here. So anyhow, I'm trying to save you the problem that I experienced myself. I was like, oh, that was stupid. Because of course you're putting them in the washer and the dryer multiple times and they rust. So now it's a plastic snap closure. So there it is. So then when you get them, you'll see the little stitching. Oh, what happened there? Oh, hang on. I lost my light. I'm just going to continue without my light. I still look okay. So, you are going to see the stitching. That is what you wear up against you like this. So then you take it, you snap it around your underwear. And then that's how it goes against your body. So the stitching is against your body. Why is this important? Well, because that's the core and the top fabric stitched together. This is the back fabric and the PUL not stitched. So I don't stitch through the waterproofing layer. Kind of makes sense, kind of is very good. So it gets stitched around here, the waterproofing layer, who cares? But here, covering this big wide area that we don't want it to bleed through here, through the little tiny holes. So you always wear it with the stitching up against you. So I have thong panty liners, regular panty liners, maxi pads, maxi pads with inserts, and I'll show you those, long maxis with inserts, heavy or / overnight, and postpartum. I also have period underwear. So why? What's the difference? Well, I mean, the difference is all in the absorbency, right? Like sometimes, as I said before, if you're using them for light incontinence, like you just have to have a little pee guard, you can't quite get to the bathroom, you're going on a long road trip and someone who's driving doesn't like to stop very often, this is what will keep your pants from getting all wet. Also, it's for your light days of your period. So for instance, for me, I use a couple of these on my first day and a couple of these on my last day, just because it's kind of spotting, whatever. And then you'd go to the maxi pad. So the maxi and the liner are pretty much the same size. I didn't bring a regular maxi, did I? Yes, I did. They're pretty much the same size. The difference is the absorbency. Again, you'll remember that my panty liners have one layer of hemp cotton fleece and the maxis have one layer of the absorb cotton. Same thing. You open it up, and because they're about the same size, and I'm assuming that people will buy both a panty liner and a maxi, the way to tell them apart is not only from the feel that's inside, but I put 2 lines of stitching in the pad, so you can see that there, and then a 1 line of stitching there. So you're like, oh, 2 lines of stitching. I mean, you'll get to use them, you'll get to know them, you'll get to know your own pads and who's doing what for you. But anyhow, same thing, stitching, no stitching, closure. So that is on the maxi, and then I have a long maxi. Now I will confess I might like the long maxi much better for me because it just gives a little bit more extra coverage, just a little extra cover. So just you know, about a ½ inch at the top and the bottom. Same level of absorbency, same snap, same double stitching, the whole 9 yards. I just like a little bit better because I'm not a petite woman, and sometimes your backside needs a little more coverage. So that's why I like the long maxis, and I don't often wear my maxis anymore. I really kind of like the longs, and it's just personal preference. No, nothing is fancy about them at all. Now, what's with the inserts? So the inserts, this is how I started wearing my pads, were these inserts. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 deal. This is waterproof, this part right here. Ta-da! Same thing, that's the waterproofing layer. So flannel, waterproofing, flannel. Then you have your insert. So your insert goes in here, gets tucked in there. Gets tucked in there, and then the same thing, you snap it, and put it in your underwear. Then, when this is dirty and soiled, you put the new one in. So that's why it's kind of a 2-for-1. There have been times, and it's okay if you have blood here, because it's doing its job. The blood has seeped through from the core to the waterproofing layer, won't come through the other side. So you can do a 2-for-1. Sometimes, if I've had like a particularly big gush or something like that, or I've left it on too long, this is really kind of saturated. So then the whole thing goes out and I get another one. Excuse me. I started making these, and sometimes people were like, I don't really want to deal too much with, you know, touching things or whatever. I mean, that's fine. That's okay. So then that's why I went to the all-in-one, so that when this is dirty and saturated, just the same way that your disposable plastic pads would be saturated, and you're like, oh gosh, okay, I'm feeling a bit soggy, time to change my pad, this goes out. The whole thing goes out to get rinsed and washed, okay? Then I have my long maxis, and I told you the long maxis, I showed them to you. So in both my long maxis and my maxis, you can get them for period use or incontinence. You can have them all in one or inserts. So this is a long maxi that's suitable for incontinence specifically. So this means you have a little bit more, you need a little bit more incontinence coverage. Maybe you urinate a little bit more than what would hold into a maxi pad. Like, you know, anyhow, I have a few senior citizens as an example who really are having heavier incontinence problems than I would, maybe just trying to run to the bathroom. So they would use something like this. So what's the difference? So same thing, no stitching on the back, flannel. All of this is waterproof all the way around here. One layer of the absorbed cotton on the inside, but then I put this bamboo topper on the top. And the reason I do this is that it's terry cloth. So if you know, like a towel is terry cloth, so it's got all those little loops. So what's awesome about this is that the urine will go in almost immediately. And it just is a little bit faster because it's got all that surface area, and urine is thinner than blood. Your blood will eventually get into the pad, like eventually, like within a few minutes kind of thing. Not like a few hours, but in the incontinence pad, it'll go in almost immediately. And also the terry cloth, because those little loops, just gives a little barrier away from your skin so that you're not sort of sitting in your urine. Okay, so that's what that one is. And also I do long maxi. Oh, look at the burly beavers. Hello, burly beavers. So I do the long maxi also in the insert style. So those are those. Then this is my heavy overnight pad. Oh, you get some free lint, always with the free lint with me. This one, so this is, I'll show you, hold on. So this is my heavy. So this is the long maxi, this is the heavy overnight maxi. So you'll notice automatically that A, it's longer, and B, it flares out, it gets wider at the edges. And that's because sometimes you really want that extra coverage on your backside and your front. And this is really this is awesome I would wear this on my heavy days. This is what I use exclusively on my heavy days. So I'd go through like 4 or 5 of these on my heavy day. And it's really good coverage. Like you really get a good coverage front and back. So for instance, when you're out driving, picking up kids, taking them to whatever, you're out grocery shopping, you're in a long car ride, whatever it is, sitting at a desk all day. This gives you such a nice coverage for your heavy day that leaks and accidents are less likely. As one of my friends said, it just covers the trough, you know, whoop, right up your back. So I love these pads, man, and it's such a great thing. And this has 2 layers of the absorbed cotton. Now, this one happens to be for incontinence. I would not put this, so as I said before with the other one with the bamboo on the top, same reason. You have heavier incontinence issues and you need a heavier coverage. And so that's why I put the bamboo on top of this one. I didn't happen to have a regular one in my stash here right now to show you. And the biggest mama of all is the postpartum. It's so huge it needs 2 snaps. So, hello Wonder Woman. So, again, just the stitching down the center. It's now, why postpartum? Well, because if you've had a baby, there's a lot of stuff coming out. You've been cooking that kid for 9 months. Things have to get out. So it's got a very wide gusset, and fair play. You don't need to just have had a baby for this. There are some people who are like super heavy bleeders and want this for like a good nighttime coverage, just because it is wider and it's longer than the regular. So let's see here. So that's my heavy. Sorry, I'll back up. There we go. So this is my heavy. This is my postpartum. Again, a couple of inches longer and wider by 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch in the center. Okay, so that's that guy. Again, 2 layers of the absorbed cotton. Now, some people don't like the snaps. They are irritated by the snap. I don't notice the snap at all. I've always had them, you know, as I said from the very beginning, I don't notice them wherever they sit on me. They're not an irritant to me where I'm like, oh God, what is that thing? No, that's not happening. So, and most times it doesn't. However, some people don't like them. So I found this fantastic little pattern. What am I doing here? Sorry, I gotta show you how it goes. I don't think that's right. I think I folded this incorrectly. Sorry. Anyhow, it's called an H pad, and I'll show you why. Looks like an H. I'm matching my pads today. Well, that's very exciting. Good for me. So it's an H pad. So this part is the core material, and from here to here is waterproofing. So what you do is this wraps around your underwear. So you put, I have to think about how I do this. So you put your underwear here. So this goes underneath your underwear. Then, oopsie, I have to do it this way. Then you wrap it like that so that the top thing is there. And you wrap it on top of your underwear. Oh, it's so hard to show you without underwear. And I'm not going to show you in my underwear. No one needs to see that. So then this is your core material, you know, and then over here. So this is all waterproof right here. This is waterproof and this is all waterproof. So you wear it like that. And then these little rickrack things hold this in place, because otherwise it might have a tendency to sort of wander as you're walking and what have you. But again, soft flannel on either side, no chafing, and no irritating snap if that's something that bugs you. That's the other thing I wanted to say, because people are saying, oh, like there's so many, everybody has the same questions, and that's fantastic because I don't know all the answers. They ask, is it hot? You know, are they hot? Are they sticky? Well, in July in Ontario, when it's 40 million degrees outside and it's 100% humidity, everything's hot. And so all bets are off. However, you will not get rashes from my pads. And that's what, that's really what precipitated this whole business, is that the plastic disposable pads were giving my friend rashes. I never had that problem. She obviously had a very severe reaction. What do you do? What do you do when you have a rash there? Scratch? What are we? Teenage boys? No. You can't go around scratching yourself. So the answer is cloth, because the soft flannel, it's just cotton. It's just cotton. And it doesn't irritate, it's no rashing, and it's just so damn comfortable. And even in the heat of July, it's really, you know, again, everything is hot in the heat of July in Ontario and everywhere else in the Northern Hemisphere. But you have to, yeah, there's just no comparison to wearing plastic up against you in the heat of the day or cotton. So much better. Then the other thing, so I want to show you, so I've got all this stuff on my lap here. Oh, dropped my little thing. Period underwear. I love this stuff. It is awesome. So here's my little, this is a pair I have to ship out today, so I'm glad I haven't shipped them yet. Oh, look at those. Are they the greatest or what? So it's a full brief underwear, because you know what, sister? You have your period. Just accept it. There's no pretty underwear required. Just be comfortable. So these are comfortable. So in my period underwear, the pad doesn't come out. So it's sort of a one-time wear. And I typically suggest that people wear them overnight, because then everything stays in place. So assuming you don't have to change your pad during the night, which some people do, these are a great option. So it's the heavy pad. It's my long pad sewn in without the wings. So you can see here the stitching, how far that comes up on the front, and then on the back, whoops, how nice that is at the back. So it's so awesome. And inside, there's your pad. Hi, kitty. So there's your pad. So it's sewn in place. Again, the waterproofing is behind it, and everything just stays in place, so it moves with you. It doesn't zig when you're zagging, and so fantastic. And the material is a cotton lycra, so it's got a little bit of stretch to it, so it has a better recovery than sort of just 100% cotton underwear. And you rinse that and do it. So and wear them and love them, and they're just so fantastic. So one thing I noticed, and another customer said the same thing, that this happened to my pad and to her underwear as well. And I don't know why this is, I can't figure it out. Sometimes after, I'm gonna say after about 10 washes or something, it gets a little crunchy sometimes. And I'm like, what the heck? And it's not dirty, like, but something, it's just get a little stiff. So I kind of do this also. And it doesn't accept, like when mine does it, I'm like, okay, well, let's see if it absorbs everything. It's still absorbing and it's still waterproof. So I don't know what this little crunchy bit is in here. I can't quite figure it out, but anyhow, I just kind of loosen it up like that. I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. Anyhow, so that's that on the underwear. And the other thing you need to know about wearing cloth pads is that when you're wearing this pad, it weighs something. It's not a paper thin piece of plastic with all sorts of chemicals in it, which is really what your disposable pads are. So just consider that and see what's inside of them. So it weighs something. You cannot wear your prettiest underwear. We all have period underwear. I suggest that women wear nice, snug underwear, because it holds the pad up against you. Like there's no glue here, like there isn't a disposable pad to stick to your things. They don't move. I mean, are you running a marathon? Well, maybe they're gonna move. But for everyday wear, they're not moving around. They're generally staying very sturdy and where they are. But you can't wear the crappy period underwear we all have with holes in it and stuff. Toss those out and get good, firm underwear. And I'll do a little shout out to Costco, the megalomaniac giant shop. They have Jones, New York underwear, and it's spandex or something. I don't know what the hell it is. That stuff is awesome. because it has good recovery, they haven't stretched out, and it holds everything in place. So even if you only buy 4 pairs to wear during your period and wear cotton every other time, you got to have good underwear. Okay, that's my hot tip for the day. Don't tell me I didn't tell you. So that's kind of it. That's what my pads look like. That's what they're about. That's what's in them. I pre-shrink everything that I buy, so you're getting a little bit of extra value because I'm paying for a washer and dryer and soap on these, and I use a good natural soap. I'm not loading you up with chemicals and scents. Thank you, Maureen. That's the other thing. When you're washing your pads, they are washer and dryer friendly. You can leave them to hang on the line. They will get a little bit crunchy, so just because they're going to be like sun dried, right, which is like super dry. And I kind of, whenever I sun dry them on my clothesline, that's what I'm doing. You cannot, under any circumstances, use dryer sheets, fabric softener, or bleach when you are washing your pads. So these are also 3 things that you probably shouldn't use on a regular basis in your laundry, if I can be so bold as to tell you how to wash your laundry. So the dryer sheets and the fabric softener both have chemicals that build up on your pads and will prevent them from being absorbent. That is to say, it makes them waterproof. We don't want waterproof. We want waterproof at the back. We do not want waterproof at the front. Secondly, it's all sorts of chemicals right up against a very large mucous membrane. Don't use that stuff. If you want to use vinegar to soften your clothes in the wash, knock your socks off, no problem. The bleach will degrade your waterproofing layer. So it'll just slowly eat away at the waterproofing layer, and then they won't be waterproof anymore, and then they'll be garbage. So no dryer sheets, no fabric softener, no bleach. You can use dryer balls, and I don't tend to put essential oils on my dryer balls. I have a couple of times, but I don't tend to do that, especially when I'm doing my pads, because I just want to keep them scent free. And yeah, so that's the most important thing about that. In another video, I might show you how to wash them, because that's the other question that people get a lot of times is, or people have rather a lot of times, is how do I wash these things? And the short answer is you rinse them, you wash them with the rest of your laundry. You can wash them in a separate wash if you want. I do that maybe once a year, twice a year. I'll give them their own wash where they can just float freely in the washer just to get a little extra deeper clean. Staining, the other thing people always ask, oh, do they stain? Well, yeah, over time they might. Generally speaking, I haven't had any problem with bad staining. Eventually the fabric color is going to fade, and when you're dealing with a fabric like gray, it will eventually fade out. My bamboo, I'm trying to think of if I've used bamboo. It gets a little dull, but I wouldn't say it's like stained. It doesn't look like a murder scene that's never coming out. So that's the answer to that. And I think those are the main answers that people have. And by all means, let me know if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you want to know something else that I didn't address in this video. And in the meantime, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that one day we can meet in person at a real market, not this virtual market, or you just looking at me as a talking head. Thanks for staying, and please let me know if you have any questions. My website is Garden of Eden Reusables with s.com, and I mail anywhere in the world. And I deliver locally around the Peterborough and Durham region of Ontario. And that's it. I hope you like this video. I hope you learned something, and I will talk to you again soon. Have a great day, everybody. See ya.